October. The air becomes crisp, the leaves decay into beautiful colors, and pumpkins are frickin' everywhere. But who cares about that? It's spooky. A little bit of non-important background. I didn't actually celebrate Halloween growing up, as my mother saw no real merit in celebrating the holiday. We still got to dress up in fun costumes and have candy, and once when I was really young, I went trick-or-treating at my grandma's neighborhood. But the overall spookiness of the month just didn't pervade my life. As I've mentioned before, I was a real wuss as a child and hated anything remotely scary, so in all honesty, I don't think I would have celebrated the holiday anyway. But somewhere in my teen years, I started to change my mind. Not just about Halloween, but spooky stuff in general. It was around the time creepypasta really hit its stride, and I got into that pretty thoroughly. I also discovered Markiplier around this time and was introduced to stuff like SCP, Amnesia, and Pixel and RPG Maker horror games. Those last two really appealed to me personally because, as you might know from this channel, I love retro stuff. When it comes to retro stuff to cover for Halloween, there are plenty of choices. Maybe I could cover something like Sweet Home, an RPG by Capcom that happens to be one of the first attempts at the survival horror genre. Or review one of the many horror movies in my collection, or I could even cover something from the Castlevania series.
A cupcake.
Yo, wait, what? What was I talking about?
You were talking about how you're going to bring me back to corporeal form?
Oh, come on! Where's your October spirit?
I have a spirit!
Well, I'll turn you back in the next episode. Right now, I need to go rip somebody off. Yeah, I'm ripping off the Nostalgia Critic. No, I don't care. I love commercials. They're like bite-sized windows into the eras they came from. And you know what? The Nostalgia Critic hasn't done a Halloween-themed commercial run yet, so I'm beating him to the punch. So, hello there. I'm Quinn Michael, and welcome to
The Season of Spooks.
Let's begin with something we're all familiar with. McDonald's!
This video is not sponsored, endorsed, or licensed by McDonald's. P.S. Your McCafe makeover sucks.
And while I'm ragging on McDonald's, if the Rick and Morty man-child fanboys can get their damn dipping sauce,
Szechuan sauce! Where's my Szechuan sauce?
then I say we can bring back the Halloween buckets. McDonald's at Halloween used to be something special, back when it was easy to get a child's attention without screaming in their face. It's not every day you get to say you miss a clown. I don't know if they do this anymore, but they used to deck the place out with orange pumpkin and black bat decorations, and they'd sell these buckets, starting in 1986 with this charming commercial, advertising the adorably named McBoo, McGoblin, and McPumpkin. These were, as far as I can tell, the first in the series, and while they aren't the ones I remember, I do like these ones the best. Nothing really beats a good old scary pumpkin for me.
Now you can get McDonald's Happy Meal pails for
Halloween!
There's a
I do, however, remember these Halloween pails. The classic trio of pumpkin, witch, and a ghost, which by virtue of glowing automatically means that that's the coolest one. Since I didn't celebrate Halloween growing up, I never got one of these, but I sure do remember them. Admittedly, they were probably one of the later releases in the series, since this is an ad from 6 years before me. Or maybe the buckets were part of the ever-present toy displays in my childhood's local McDonald's. And now, would you join me in a moment of silence in memory of the retro-themed McDonald's with that awesome Mustang display located in the Indian Ridge Plaza on Grape Road in Mishawaka, Indiana, lost in the McCafe apocalypse of 2015. The Halloween buckets continued to be made up till even as recently as 2016. But nowadays they rely on tie-in promotions for selling the buckets, and once again, I really miss when randomly screaming wasn't the height of humor. But I've been stuck on McDonald's for a bit, so let's move on to something else.
Halloween!
Taco Bell presents Nacho and Dog.
Naturally, while McDonald's had what I think were the coolest Halloween promotions, they weren't the only fast food chain to jump aboard the haunted train. Or the mascot train, for that matter. Taco Bell took a stab at having a mascot multiple times. Most people are familiar with Gidget, more commonly known as the Taco Bell dog. But before that, there was Nacho and Dog, a series of short cartoons featuring a blue dog and his, let's say, mentally challenged cat friend, Nacho. I can only guess that this duo was created in order to cash in on the popularity of shows like Ren and Stimpy. They were odd, but kind of charming. The commercials were generally 10 seconds of Nacho and Dog doing whatever. Like here, seems like they're getting ready to go trick-or-treating. Dog is a pirate, and Nacho is...
I'm a big burrito!
Hold on a second, is that a costume, or did Nacho just literally roll himself up and, yup, that's what he did. Okay, look, there's being obsessed with Taco Bell, and then there's this. The rest of the ad is advertising Goosebumps toys, and to their credit, they are all actual Goosebumps characters. Cuddles the hamster, Curly the skeleton, Slappy the dummy, and... well, technically that could be any mummy, but there's a Goosebumps book about a mummy, so it counts. But then we come to this.
Oh, how cute! A bean burrito. And what are you?
Is Dog the only person in this world who hasn't dedicated his life to the Great Bell of Tacos? I mean, he's a pirate! How do you not know what a pirate is? No, well, I guess there was an oversaturation of mascot characters in the 90s, but for some reason I really like these two. But finding info about these two and this ad campaign in general has been rather difficult, so it would seem that the advent of Gidget doomed Nacho and Dog to relative obscurity. Which is a shame, because it wasn't a bad idea.
Taco Bell!
Fetch that food, dog!
Meanwhile, for Halloween, Burger King was handing out flashlights.
To get your flashlight, just come to any Madison Burger King on October 30th and ask for one.
Okay, yeah, it's important to stay safe while trick-or-treating, or really anytime you leave the house. But it's just kind of funny to me that Burger King is handing out free flashlights.
Join God's Army! Get a free flashlight!
And they also gave you a bag.
And a coupon good for the soft drink of your choice.
And a coupon for a soft drink? Screw the candy, I want to eat at Burger King now. What? Burger King's food is way better than McDonald's. Fight me on this, I dare you. In all honesty, this is less of a Burger King ad and more of a PSA for public safety. But even with stuff like this, I find myself entranced by it. Like I said earlier, it's like a window into a different time. You know it's a different era when the gem in the hologram's costume is scarier than the ghost. All in all, this PSA is just good advice for Halloween. Wear bright costumes, be careful crossing streets, and make sure to have someone check your candy. This is advice that is still being repeated to this day.
Throw out any unwrapped ones just to be safe.
Speaking of safety, parents, I ask you, how would you feel if you found out your children were hanging around Gargantuan Warlock Rodentia?
Anything could happen tonight. Witchcraft!
Oh, you think I'm joking? Look, he even hides when mom comes to check on the kids. That's right, Mickey Mouse could be training your kids in the dark arts right under your nose. And M&M's is in on it. Who do you think Mickey sold his soul to? How else is Disney apparently acquiring everything under the sun? Bibbidi bobbidi Satan, I tell you! And the commercial ends with the Sorcerer Mouse Supreme following your kids into the night. Just lovely. So, while this next commercial is not strictly Halloween related, I couldn't resist the opportunity to highlight commercials starring some classic movie monsters. Like this Hostess commercial starring a vampire who mistakes a neon sign for a ding-dong. Yup, I just said that. This was part of a campaign by Hostess, where various creatures and monsters would mistake something for a Hostess pastry, only to discover a sad lack of creamy goodness and remark,
Hey, there is the cream filling.
"Look at this bat, it looks like the bat from Barbie Nutcracker on acid." That said, I'm not sure I understand the point of this ad campaign. I mean, Hostess products are tastier than, say, a hotel sign? Or a very strangely shaped trailer? No, duh. If I were to hazard a guess, the purpose of this campaign was to make them memorable through comedy. so you'd remember them and buy their products. And I guess it worked on me at least, since I vividly remember seeing this ad on TV and thinking it was hysterical. And to this day, anytime I see Hostess products, I think of this commercial, so props?
Hey, there is the cream filling. Now that's the stuff. Hostess.
Okay, the last commercial was fine, but let's get a little more specific here. In this commercial, not just any vampire, but the Prince of Darkness himself, Dracula, makes an appearance. Doing Dracula things, of course, when suddenly he is confronted by the power of Coca-Cola. And what do you know? Turns out Coca-Cola is the cure for vampirism. This was part of the Coca-Cola ad campaign, "You Can't Beat the Real Thing." I only bring this up because for some reason there was a very similar Coke campaign with the slogan, "Can't Beat the Feeling." Both complete with a song advertising Coca-Cola Classic, and they're almost literally the same thing.
Can't beat the real thing.
Can't beat the feeling. Can't beat the real thing. Can't beat the feeling.
It's just so strange to me that they used the same marketing campaign twice with only slight differences. I guess it must have been successful, and why not? After all, it can apparently resurrect the dead and damned. Coca-Cola. Better than holy water.
Can't beat the real thing.
Moving on from vampires, there were also some ads featuring werewolves, or wolfmen? Is there actually a difference? Please tell me, inquiring minds want to know. Whatever they are, there's a few here in this 7-Eleven coffee commercial. We've all seen this setup before. People are supposedly monsters till they get their morning cup of joe. But having lived in a house full of coffee lovers, this commercial is more true to life than you might think. I mean, why else is Shaggy so angry and hairy?
The fur is natural.
And you know damn well why I'm angry.
So amazing.
7-Eleven coffee brings out the best, not the beast in you.
Okay, so this is considerably more recent compared to the other commercials here, but I have to share this one. It's a British ad for a snack called Fridge Raiders Chicken Bites, a snack that apparently turns you into a wolfman prospect. This young fellow seems a little too okay with. Oh, I'm sorry, did I say okay? I meant to say in love with. I mean, I don't think even Michael J. Fox was this happy to be a werewolf. This is downright disturbing. All I'm gonna say is don't look at his browser history. Unfortunately for him, but thankfully for us, the happy times seem to be brought to an end when his lady friend enters the room. But thankfully for him, and unfortunately for us, she seems to be into that. I have no words. What the f***? And of course, we can't round out the classic monster trinity without Frankenstein's monster. Frankenstein is one of my favorite novels of all time, so I'm always happy to see the big guy wherever he appears. But for some reason, this Shasta commercial has really imprinted itself into my brain, to the point that I tend to feature it a lot in my intro. Let's see if we can figure out why. Okay, first off, props to whoever made this set. Look at it, it's awesome. Honestly, I'm kind of impressed that this much work went into this set for a commercial. This looks like it could have come off of one of the Hammer films. That's how good I think it looks. I also like that they went with this pale gray, almost a white, for the monster's skin instead of the traditional green. It helps this version stand out. So, you've got a walking sin against nature and mankind? What do you do with it? You send it to the store to get some soda. And I think it's that part right there that gets me. The super traditional Frankenstein's monster walking around a modern store and the clerk acting like this is an everyday occurrence. And the monster does it all with this silly grin on his face, topping the commercial off with a cute little skip dance. It's silly, but charming. There's just one thing that bothers me.
Igor, go and get me what I crave.
Igor? 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 In what universe is the monster named Igor? I mean, really, you get everything else just right. You don't even call the monster Frankenstein like some of the others do, but somehow you had to mess it up. And even plays a subservient role, carrying out Frankenstein's orders without question. It's so counterintuitive to everything else in the mythos.
Well, what do you call him?
Well, I personally call him Adam because of the line in the book where the monster refers to himself as having should have been Frankenstein's Adam. I think it's fitting.
I wasn't expecting an answer. Alright then.
Even with that minor gripe, I still love this ad. I've never had Shasta soda before, but this ad from the 70s makes me want some. So, Adam,
Go and get me what I crave.
Shasta. It's the orange soda that can make anybody happy.
I heard him yelling in the castle.
okay, maybe I'm just way too easy to please, but this toy looks awesome. It's a giant Frankenstein's monster that you get to fix up yourself. I was always sympathetic with the monsters, so the idea of having a toy that allows me to play the role of being Frank's friend and caretaker sounds like 5 different kinds of awesome. And yes, I said Frank, which seems to be the more popular nickname for the monster. There's only one part of the commercial that kinda rubs me the wrong way. That is, beyond a doubt, the worst Frankenstein's monster I have ever seen on screen. There have been some pretty awful takes on Adam over the years, but this takes the cake. He looks like a bad Beetleborgs character. Sheesh. In closing, cool toy, lame costume.
Big Frank talks and his eyes light up. Batteries not included.
What, another Frankenstein commercial? I mean, guys, I love Frankenstein, but the audience is going to get bored. Okay, forget Adam. I always knew Teddy Ruxpin was evil. I mean, Frank, I get it. You love your son. But is it really worth awakening such a fierce and ancient evil?
I failed again.
Oh, thank goodness.
How about these, Master?
No! Do you have any clue what you've done? On this Halloween night, evil is given flesh once more! It's alive! And it's hungry!
I got a new game, sport. It's called Hide the Soul. And guess what? You're it.
Over here, I'm a Bogman. Me and my buddies need a place to hide out.
Ugh, good. Friendly faces. These are the Bogmans, and hell yeah, these dudes can hang at my place anytime. Bogmans were rubber puppet toys, released by Mattel around the same time as the tiny monster craze brought on by movies like Gremlins and Critters. And they were pretty well made from what I've heard. Not that I would know that, since I was born in the late 90s and never had a chance to own one. Why does everything I like have to be from before I was born? What the heck was that?
I don't know.
Anyway, there were a variety of Boglins. The largest had glow-in-the-dark eyes, which automatically made them 10 times as cool, and they could also be moved back and forth with a lever inside of the puppet. These guys were pretty high-end for the time, almost on par with the special effects of the movies they were reminiscent of. There were also some smaller ones that no one talks about, and some aquatic-style ones that I have a particular interest in. Strangely, though, there was no accompanying media for the Boglins. No cartoon, no comic, nothing unless you count the 1-900 number, and really, why would you? That said, they did have a backstory, and it's a wild one. This may be the most significant discovery in history. From this swampy bog that time forgot, I shall name these creatures Boglins. Observing their bizarre behavior, I theorize that Boglins may be the missing link to human personalities. Could it be that long ago, Boglins taught us how to laugh and cry? Even how to love? Yeah, you just heard that right. Supposedly, the Boglins are the ancestors of the human race. How's that for your toy backstory? Perhaps even cooler is the guy who made the Boglins, a man by the name of Tim Clark. What makes him cool? Well, how about designing and creating creatures for Fraggle Rock and the Dark Crystal? Yeah, the man worked with Jim Henson. Those singing Fraggle crowds? The Mystics? That was Tim. That's some pretty cool stuff, and he's still making cool stuff. Starting in 2016, Tim reintroduced the brand and began making and selling new Boglins out of his garage. They cost a pretty penny. But I assume that's business as usual for Bogman collectors, and just dang, these are cool. This is one toy franchise that deserves far more recognition than it ever got. I don't know if the world is ready for the return of the Boglins, but I sure am.
Hey, the name's Boglins, each sold separately, and we're looking for good homes. Maybe yours?
Alright, let's cap this thing off with the former king of toy stores, Toys R Us. Oh, come on! Okay, even if Toys R Us is coming back somehow, they'll never reach the heights they once did. And that's not just the fault of their ridiculous, overpriced products. The toy industry has changed. The world itself has changed. As sad as it is, kids aren't as interested in toys as they once were. Heck, I'd argue that a tablet and its apps have become the new toy, since you can't really take 2 steps into the toy aisles without spotting something with a compatible app anyway. It might make me sound like a cranky old man, but they really don't make them like they used to. But sometimes that's a good thing. First off, I'm not referring to this animation. This animation's fine. It's not amazing, but it is charmingly spooky. Kooky, even. No, I'm talking about the costumes.
Toys R Us has the big bird, huh?
Alright, that's fine. I guess it's a little more generic and cheap looking than I think they meant, but you can still tell that's supposed to be Big Bird. But this next one...
And the Yoda Halloween costume.
That doesn't look like any Yoda I've seen. It looks more like Jason from the Friday the 13th NES game. They even have Yoda printed on the shirt as if to say,
Yes, Yoda this is.
That said, part of this is probably due to the degraded video quality, since all the photos I found online showed a more movie-accurate green. The purple and yellow is still weird, though. Look, 80s kids, I'm not trying to dump on your childhood. Lord knows I loved this kind of stuff when I was a kid, and I would probably love it even more if I grew up in the era. But as much as I pretend otherwise, I wasn't born an 80s kid. And not everything from that decade was amazing. And yet, I still can't help it. I wish I could have been there. Experienced all this stuff I loved. When it was new and exciting. Actually been around when arcades and malls were cool places to hang out. But I was born when I was, and I can't change that. And from my modern eyes, sometimes they don't make things like they used to for a reason. Well, that got a little real. I don't mean to end things on a down note. After all, this whole video, and really this series, is about exploring and celebrating the past. The things I love. I may not have been around for most of this stuff, but I can't deny that all this retro spooky goodness never fails to put a smile on my face. And I hope I managed to do that for you at least once in this video. I hope that for the older audience, this was a trip down memory lane, and for the younger viewers, I hope this was an interesting window into the past. Maybe, if I'm lucky, I even piqued your interest for more 80s nostalgia. There's plenty of that I didn't even cover in this video, and I'd say if you're interested, you should go check it out. You never know what you might find. But for now, the time has come for me to say goodbye. I hope you have a wonderful Halloween night, or whatever else you celebrate. I hope you have a fantastic time. But this is me, Quinn Michael.
And I'm still dead.
And like it or not, we'll be back next time. Alright, that's a wrap.
Hey, what's up?
I was just thinking, is it really healthy for me to be wallowing in the past all the time?
What do you mean?
It's just a stupid thought.